So recap of today from March 3rd. I know it's been a few days since we put one of these out, so apologize for the inconsistency, but I've been definitely trying to get in a better flow and actually, post for a few weeks straight at least. And we've been trading. So I just kind of wanted to break down the price action that we got today and execution. So we went 1-0 today. We only took one trade, and that's all I ended up taking. Um, so immediately off of the open, um, actually before I even start talking about the price action, I've actually really been kind of focused on back testing, and I just started using actually TradeZella. Um, and their back tested feature is amazing. If you guys haven't used it before, highly suggest it. Um, I don't know why it took me almost 5 years in my trading gear to find a tool that for back testing that wasn't just trading view replay mode, but um, something very common that we've had in the last few trading sessions specifically has been um, dealing with this very heavy price action where price is moving directly down right away, right? No matter what model you trade, more times than not, your trade kind of requires, or most models, I would say, typically requires some level of balanced price action in order for you to actually get into something. What I mean by that is typically either you're playing breakouts, right? Or you're playing retracements. But I don't know many models where people are looking for entries where something is going straight in one direction, right? Um, and if you look back for the last few sessions, or at least since the sentiment has started to shift more bearish, what we've had the first 30 minutes is price moving very, very clearly in one direction. Now, maybe I'm being a bit extreme, I guess, in a way. There's pullbacks, but not nearly to the extent that you're getting to the downside. And that's um, been very tough conditions to navigate because it's hard to take anything with much conviction in the first 30 minutes because of how volatile price is. And then also because of the fact that it's moving so clearly in one direction without much retracement. Um, so one thing that I did is I back tested, quite a few days in February, just kind of in preparation, right? Um, Kind of into the sentiment shift. And I also looked at other days where we had very heavy kind of drops or shots up early in the day. One thing that I realized, and just in general, my losses more recently have been kind of catching a knife in a way. And I know typically that phrase is kind of coined when you're looking to buy when price is very heavy. Um, in That's exactly what you want to avoid, right? When you're looking for entries and prices moving this way, you need to allow price some room, understand when it's volatile, and let it create legs, very defined legs, right? When it's not very obvious when to get in, when price is moving this way, typically that's because you shouldn't be getting in, right? If it's not completely obvious to you when you should be getting in after these big moves, you shouldn't. Um, and that's kind of one thing that was kind of sitting with me. I was like, listen, I'm not taking the first presented fair value gap. And that's one thing that's been kind of consistent. I haven't been. Um, I'm not going to just look for the first liquidity sweep and go in, right? And that's kind of that factor. I think of trading that really sets apart people that are consistently profitable to the people that may have a good run here or there is the fact that you're able to adapt to market conditions and understand that market moves in cycles, and I'm not talking about just bullish and bearish, but even the way that price trades, even the level of volatility and average moves that you get, even in the type of legs that it creates, even in trends that you see in the first 30 minutes, they change, right? And of course, it's a given. No candle is the same each day, right? Everything is completely different, but you see common themes, you see common moves, common themes, common setups, um, and you need to be able to adapt. And I think that's very, very important. I think that's why back testing is really important. I think that's why experience, honestly, more than anything, just spending time through a lot of markets. I mean, I've had the opportunity to trade through bear cycles while I've been growing and learning. I've traded through bull cycles. I've traded through all time highs. I've traded through, um, COVID. Traded through chop, a lot of chop. Um, and one thing that's been very clear going into 2025 is that this has been a headline driven market, right? And right now it's very heavy. And you look at the sentiment and, uh, some of the news, including NVIDIA, um, some crypto news, and then a lot of obviously headlines within the Trump administration, um, that price has been bearish through is very telling. But all that to say, that's kind of my spiel. But for new and young traders, not just young, but just young in the markets, understand having a model is not necessarily enough, right? I know people just preach one model for life and they like to oversimplify, and I like the idea, and it's true. You should stick to and hone in on a particular way of trading that suits your personality and that you're good at, but understand that the market is not going to always fit that model forever. Um, and you don't necessarily need to be able to change or have to change a lot about what you trade or how you trade, right? The general model can stay the same, but you need to be able to adapt your expectations, to what you're seeing in the market. And you need to be able to read it and understand what's happening and why. Um, so it's an important thing. And I feel like as I've been going through this week, there's been a shift, right? There's a shift in the last couple weeks. And I noticed that I didn't have that bad of a week last week, but it's my first red week in a while. And I was like, okay, what kind of happened here? Well, there was a clear shift. There's a clear shift in price action. I think change in state of delivery and just bearish sentiment, and also volatility. It picked up, and you're getting these huge drops right away. How do you adjust, right? So all that stuff we had in our mind, um, came into the market today. Right away, you kind of get a shot on NQ over overnight highs, right? This is a very important thing that I always look for. Overnight, I know people specifically like to mark out London and Asia, and that's probably a more specific approach. I like to have a general idea of where overnight highs are. Not a general idea. I mark the high right between London and Asia. I just don't specify by session. Sometimes I will, if there's enough range. But typically, if they trade within very similar range to me, it doesn't necessarily matter if I'm sweeping Asia compared to London. I guess if those highs were made relatively in not too long time compared to open, sometimes I'll just keep that in mind. But I just wanted to point that out. So overnight highs, anyways, we're there. I marked it out, and this is high that we made over here. Sometime around 7 in the morning, we came and swept that, meaning we traded over, and then in comes the drop, right? So in come the drop, price wasted no time, right? So clearly, first presented 1 minute fair value gap was actually this one up here, right? So this was on the third candle, on the 1 minute chart of the day on NQ, and immediately inverse, right? So first sign of information, for me at least, because typically between displacement and then obviously trend, um, that's typically how I'm gonna make a bias as far as trend goes. We got this move down, created displacement, pretty clean retracement here. Again, it wasn't really a thought to me to kind of take this. I've kind of been in a wait kind of 30 minutes to see. And I've really just been expecting a pretty big move right away. And what I was waiting for the whole time was make your move, come to some strong level of liquidity, create pretty defined leg. I know price has been moving more than just that first kind of quadrant, that first 25%. I mean, sometimes it's coming to 50, it's coming more. So wait for that. And then wait for inversion to the downside, right? These moves are coming in a lot bigger legs than what they normally would. Um, so you have to kind of be mindful of that. And that's what I noticed. So we had this displacement, right? And then we had a very clean move down. We had data at 10 a.m. You kind of wake off of this 765 hourly liquidity level. You get a little bit of coiling and tight sort of range here, right? Which was very telling, right? To me, this was kind of the sign of, okay, that leg that I said I was going to wait for. By this point, my by this point, right, and I put this here just to show you this kind of leg here that we got to start was enough for me to be bearish as far as where we were on the chart and seeing this move, right? Seeing displacement to the downside, seeing this move, seeing the sweep of overnight highs. All this added to now my bias is like, okay, I'm probably looking for shorts here, right? Unless price really clearly shows me otherwise, I have no really confidence or any reason to be looking for long. So it's like, okay, looking for shorts. We get kind of this coiling. For me, I say coiling, and other people are like, oh, it's not really coiling. Well, when I say that, I mean range bound price action, right? For me, when you're getting a move of 354 points in the course of 30 minutes, and then price now trades in 100-point range for maybe 20 minutes. Typically, after a big move, when you get price that trades in a very limited range, that means that you're going to get a big leg out of that. And this situation went up, which is perfect for me because I was looking for shorts. Typically, I'm a retracement trader if I'm going to look for a continuation of a move, right? So I'm going to wait for a leg up before I take a short. So really what I was looking for as this was going up, I wanted to see displacement, but I wanted to see displacement up above this range that we were trading above, right? So we get this first major one here, right? We don't come down and test it just yet. We create small displacement up, small displacement up, small displacement up. And then by this point, we were getting up above that 50%, right? Which is very telling, right? And then you see we're kind of getting near these equal highs slash imbalance here on the 1 minute that we created on the breakdown, right? Remember, we created this equal lows on the 1 minute. You displace down under, you create this imbalance. So for here, this kind of this shelf here was really important to me. But on this leg up, I noticed that ES was kind of leading the way. So typically, when I'm looking for a move and you see some level of divergence, you see either an imbalance being tested or filled where on the other indice you're not, that is usually confluence for me to get in, even if it's just on NQ. That's just me because I like taking NQ. If I see it get touched on ES, that's typically enough for me to take entry on NQ. Okay, with everything I just said added, right, as confluence. I'm not blindly taking a trade on NQ because of the setup that I have on ES. It's not the case, but with all the context I just explained, coming off of this imbalance, ES came and touched, right? It came and touched almost literally to the tick. At this point, I'm in on, sorry, I'm going to do a short here. I'm in on NQ. I'm in on NQ. I'm risking above these equal highs up here on the 1 minute, like I had mentioned, around 9:45, and then I'm setting my take profit to this imbalance over here, right? So really, I was expecting price to make a big leg, right? Somewhere above the 50 percentile. I took this imbalance as an opportunity. I liked my risk here. I knew what I was risking, especially having come and achieved these lows over here, with this liquidity on the 1 hour. But I knew the way price has been moving. It's been doing this a lot, right? And it's making you kind of take trades where on other days you would be seeing reversal, right? But I know price has been so heavy, and when it kind of creates this narrative and you understand what the sentiment is, I'm only looking for shorts. Me personally, I'm only looking for shorts here. And I know that we've been getting them even on the top half of the range. We have been. So when you come and feel an imbalance like that, I'm willing to take the risk, and I did. Um, and we ended up having a really good trade here. So got in around here, took this imbalance down here, took partials along the way. We ended up doing really well on Top Step. So um, after that, I was really just done for the day. That was an entry right around 10:30. So about an hour of price action we watched to get to the trade. And again, I think as long as the price keeps moving like this, is probably going to be the case for me. I'm probably going to be, truly waiting for entries. Um, so, really good day. Listen, if you're watching this and this is your first time, or you've been kind of sneak watching, ghost watching, and not liking or subscribing, means a lot to me. I'd like to get to 10, 15 subscribers by the end of the month and just continue to grow this community. I feel like I have a lot to offer. And if for nothing else, for me just to have the opportunity to journal and just kind of, walk through some of my thought processes and just grow, you know, definitely have a long way to go. But hopefully you guys get something from this. And if you mess with it, please, just a thumbs up or a subscription. Appreciate that. So, yeah, we're going to try to do this daily. I know I'm putting this out really late, but I figured, better put it out than do nothing. So, I'll catch you guys tomorrow.